Hello everyone, I'm Divyansh Gunjan. You don't know me, I know that. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the geopolitics of space today. Specifically Russia. The Soviet Union and the US. Well, why do these two countries have to come into the conversation all the time, right? This is because where it all started, right? This idea of the space race itself, the fruition of it, all of it, started in these two countries, right? Since the 1950s, when these two countries had their own organizations come into play. So let's move on towards the video, and I hope you enjoy it. The space race began in the late 1950s when the Soviet Union launched the first ever artificial satellite, Sputnik 1, into the orbit in 1957. It was game changer that shook the world and sparked a fierce competition between the US and the Soviet Union. The US responded to this by launching its own satellite, Explorer 1, into space. This was followed by the establishment of NASA, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, in 1958, which was tasked with developing technology for space exploration and manned spaceflight. The competition reached new heights in 1961 when the Soviet Union sent the first human, Yuri Gagarin, into space aboard the Vostok 1 spacecraft, which happened very recently. That anniversary was celebrated. And the US responded with Alan Shepard's flight in the same year and John Glenn's orbit in 1962. The rivalry continued through the 1960s with both nations racing to land a man on the moon. In 1969, the US successfully achieved this, by the way, with the Apollo 11 mission.
Ignition sequence start. Engines on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All engines running. Launch commit. Liftoff. We have liftoff. The tower is clear.
And we have a roll program. Roger. You have good thrust and all 5 engines. Transporter, roll complete. Roger. And we have a fixed program. Roger. Roger. We're seeing the center of the Earth.
Fast forward to the year 2023, right? And we see a new era of the space race emerging with various countries and private companies entering the competition. You know, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic. Now there's another startup called Relativity Space. There's so many more, right? Collaborate for the International Space Station. The US and Russia finally had to make amends and come together on one single project. But they're also competing still, right? Because they have that very Cold War situation amongst them, between themselves, that they have to maintain this competition of threshold of developing cutting edge technology that humanity has never experienced. It's as simple as that. So, but they're also competing in other areas such as development of new rockets and spacecraft. Now, China, who is also emerging as a very, very big economy and a very powerful competitor in the era of space race and the era of geopolitics in general, not just space race, because China is one of the most populated countries in the world. It is not a democracy, right? It's hegemony, and it's completely in the hands of a single institution, which makes that single institution very powerful to take any decisions that they wish to take across the entire border of China. So the China has also entered the space race with its change program, successfully running a rover on the far side of the moon in 2019, not very far from now. So, in addition, the Chinese space station is also was also set to launch in 2021, and yep, they did that very successfully, which was a major milestone for the country. The space race, may have started as a competition between just two superpowers, but now we see very, very many countries like India, China, right, Japan. You see Israel, and you now are seeing Arabian countries like Saudi Arabia collaborating with US companies and private space agencies, especially SpaceX and stuff, to get into the space race and participate in an area which we do not even know, right? Because now, where do you compete? Like, where do you battle? Is the basic idea. Where do you do a war? Now there's not much land to be explored, or even if there is to be explored, you cannot technically capture it. It's going to be in the hands of the person who is the closest to it, or maybe the person who has just explored it. Maybe, and that's not also a case truly viable. So I would say that the space race doesn't just belong to two countries anymore, or just three countries anymore. It is like every other country trying to participate in one single thing, because space is an area that is very much unexplored. We have barely stepped our foots in the space race on the basis of even the level of our very solar system, let alone extraterrestrial life or interplanetary or even beyond solar system, and definitely we are not even close to galactic species. So that's the basic idea of it all, but it has revolved into a global race for exploration, and technological advancement is what we need to consider. Who knows what the future looks like, right? Because we can't be sure. But one thing is for sure though, space will continue to captivate and inspire us all. That's what this channel is about, right? We're exploring space in multiple ways possible as young people, as young explorers who wish to take our hands and get them dirty in this area. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Keep looking up.